The day artificial suns rose and real stars went dark. The world had been waiting for this day for decades. Scientists, engineers, and dreamers alike had worked tirelessly to create a network of artificial suns, gigantic spheres of plasma that promised endless energy, safety, and light. Humanity had long depended on real stars, but the fragility of natural energy and the chaos of climate change pushed them toward this audacious plan. At dawn, the skies were strangely calm. Across the globe, people gazed upward, not at the familiar sun, but at the instruments that would birth new ones. In New Tokyo, crowds gathered at public squares, their faces reflecting both excitement and fear. In the control room of the Central Solar Command, Dr. Hana Li adjusted the final calibrations. Her fingers trembled slightly, not from nerves, but from the weight of history. "Coordinates locked," she said. Her voice was steady, but the tremor in her heart betrayed her. "Artificial suns are ready. Initiating sequence in 3, 2, 1. The screens around her flickered as the massive energy conduits roared to life. Across continents, similar centers lit up, and slowly, a soft golden glow began to appear above each major city. It started as a thin, almost invisible light, but it grew steadily, bathing the world in warmth. People cheered. Children ran through the streets, laughing as they felt the sun on their faces, knowing it wasn't real, but it didn't matter. But beneath the celebration, something went unnoticed. The stars, the ancient beacons of the night, began to fade. First, it was subtle. Constellations dimmed like candles in the wind. Astronomers at observatories rubbed their eyes, certain their instruments had malfunctioned. Across the globe, the sky darkened in ways that no human engineering could explain. In her office, Dr. Li noticed the anomaly. "That's impossible," she whispered. Her monitor showed the night sky, no stars. Only the artificial suns shone. She called her assistant, Marco. "Marco, look at this." He leaned over the screen, pale. "They're gone. Gone. Every single one. The real stars, they are disappearing." The room fell silent. For the first time, the joy of the rising artificial suns felt hollow. Humanity had reached for the heavens and, unknowingly, blocked out the ancient lights that had guided them for millennia. News outlets picked up the story within hours. Headlines screamed, "Stars vanish as humanity lights its own suns." Social media was ablaze with videos showing night skies without their usual twinkle. People panicked, unsure if the disappearance of the stars was temporary, a glitch, or something far worse. In New York, a young astronomer named Kira Thompson watched the city glow with the artificial sun, feeling an emptiness she couldn't name. Her grandfather had told her stories of the stars, their ancient myths, their songs, their guidance. Now, there were none. "They are never coming back," she said softly, though she didn't know if it was true. Governments tried to reassure the public. "This is temporary," officials said. "We are investigating. Artificial suns are stable. Humanity is safe." But the fear in people's eyes said otherwise. Meanwhile, in the Central Solar Command, Dr. Li convened an emergency meeting with the world's leading astrophysicists. "We have to consider the possibility," she said, "that activating artificial suns may have caused interference with the cosmic balance. The stars, real stars, they may have gone dark because of us." Silence followed. No one wanted to admit that humanity's triumph could have such an irreversible cost. Across the world, research stations worked around the clock. Satellites scanned the void, telescopes probed the skies, and supercomputers ran simulations. The results were horrifying. The artificial suns had emitted energy waves, subtle but immense, that interfered with the natural light of distant stars. The artificial suns weren't just replacing daylight, they were drowning out the universe itself. The stars hadn't merely dimmed, they were trapped in a kind of cosmic eclipse, unseen from Earth. In an underground lab in Geneva, Dr. Li and her team argued fiercely about what to do next. "We can't just shut them down," said Marco. "The world relies on these suns now. People can't live without them." "And yet," Li countered, "we may have blinded ourselves to the universe. We have traded eternal light for permanent darkness." Days passed, and the artificial suns burned brighter, relentless and unwavering. Cities glowed as if they were planets of their own, but people began to feel a strange emptiness. Nights no longer had their gentle mystery, no soft blanket of stars. Children asked questions adults couldn't answer. Where did the stars go? Kira Thompson stared at her telescope, now useless for seeing distant galaxies.
Yet she refused to give up.
One night, while scanning the blackened sky, she noticed a faint flicker, almost imperceptible, like a pulse.
Her heart skipped a beat. Could it be? She whispered to herself.
The flicker grew into tiny flashes, patterns.
They were deliberate, rhythmic, not random.
It was as if the stars themselves were sending messages, trapped behind the artificial suns. Kira raced to the Global Astronomy Network headquarters, where the world's brightest minds had gathered. She connected her telescope to the main server and displayed the flickers on the giant screen. "It's communication," she said. "I don't know how, but the stars are trying to speak to us."
Dr. Hana Li leaned in, astonished. "But how?"
"They've been blocked from our view by our own creations. How can they reach us?"
Marco scratched his head.
"Maybe they are using some kind of energy resonance. The artificial suns aren't perfect. They vibrate. Maybe the stars are sending signals through those vibrations."
Kira nodded. "Exactly. But we need a way to interpret them."
"It's like a language we've never learned before." The message becomes clear. 4 days, the team worked tirelessly, decoding patterns of light and energy. Slowly, they pieced together what the stars were trying to convey. The message was chilling. "The balance is broken.
You have stolen the sky. Light that is yours is borrowed.
Restore what you have taken, or all will fade."
The warning sparked fear and debate.
Some argued that it was a hallucination, a projection of humanity's guilt. Others took it seriously. Governments convened emergency councils, but no one knew how to restore the stars. Dr. Li realized the truth: humanity had achieved power it did not fully understand. They had created artificial suns without considering the cosmic consequences. The stars were not gone forever, they were trapped, and only by rebalancing the energy of the artificial suns could the real stars return.
A dangerous plan. The solution was dangerous.
The artificial suns were massive, incredibly stable, and relied on sophisticated technology that could not simply be turned off. Shutting one down improperly could cause catastrophic explosions, leveling entire cities. Kira, Dr. Li, and Marco proposed a radical plan, a coordinated recalibration of all artificial suns across the globe. By adjusting their energy output and synchronizing their vibrations with the natural frequencies of real stars, they could release the cosmic light trapped behind them. The problem was timing and precision. Even a minor miscalculation could result in massive destruction. Nations argued over who would take the lead, fearing liability and political fallout. Yet, amid the chaos, the stars continued to flicker, reminding humanity of what was at stake. Finally, Dr. Li was given authority. She would lead the operation. "We have no choice," she said firmly. "If we fail, humanity will live in eternal light without a night sky. If we succeed, we may see the stars again, but we risk everything." As the team prepared for the first recalibration, they realized the true scale of their undertaking. The artificial suns weren't just instruments, they were symbols of human ambition and hubris. Correcting their mistake would require courage, precision, and trust in forces larger than themselves. The countdown began. Across the globe, cities braced for the unknown. People gathered in their homes, staring at the skies, wondering if the stars would ever return. The world held its breath. Across continents, cities glowed under the relentless artificial suns, yet the darkness of missing stars weighed on humanity. In New Tokyo, New York, Geneva, and countless other hubs of technology, engineers and scientists prepared for the first synchronized recalibration of the artificial suns. Dr. Hana Li stood at the Central Command in Geneva, her hands hovering over the main console. Every screen displayed critical data: energy levels, resonance frequencies, structural stability of the artificial suns. Marco hovered behind her, anxiety written across his face. "We're ready," she said, voice steady but quiet. "If we fail, it could be catastrophic. If we succeed, the stars may speak to us again." Outside, the streets were eerily bright. The golden glow of artificial sunlight made shadows almost non-existent. People walked cautiously, sensing that something monumental was about to happen. In their homes, they whispered prayers or held hands, unsure if the event would be the dawn of a new cosmic harmony, or the end of all things familiar. The procedure begins. At the exact synchronized moment, Dr. Li initiated the recalibration sequence. Energy pulses began to shift. Artificial suns across the planet vibrated, emitting waves of light and plasma in precise patterns. Engineers monitored them nervously, ready to shut down systems at a moment's notice. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The suns burned steadily, unyielding.
Then, a subtle change occurred.
The golden light flickered, pulsing in rhythm with the hidden patterns of the stars beyond. Kira Thompson, observing from her telescope in New York, gasped.
Look!
The stars, they are responding. Across the globe, tiny points of light began to reappear. Faint, almost imperceptible, but undeniably real.
The stars were coming back.
The skies that had been lost to humanity's hubris were beginning to regain their ancient glow.
But the process was unstable.
One of the artificial suns in Sydney began to fluctuate wildly, threatening to overload. Dr. Li barked orders, her hands flying over the console.
Stabilize it.
Channel the excess energy into the network.
Marco's voice trembled.
We can't hold it much longer. It's pushing beyond limits. The pulse of cosmic energy and human technology intertwined. The recalibration was delicate, a cosmic dance. Every adjustment was a risk, but they had no choice. Humanity had dared to control the sky. Now it must carefully return what it had borrowed slowly, steadily. The artificial suns aligned with the stars' natural frequencies. The light of the real stars returned, faint but unmistakable, shining through the artificial glow. People around the world paused, gazing upward. They saw points of distant fire reappearing in the night, ancient witnesses to humanity's journey. In Geneva, Dr. Li exhaled, relief washing over her. It's working, she whispered.
Marco smiled, though he was exhausted. Kira recorded the moment through her telescope.
They are not just back, they are communicating. Their light, it feels alive. For the first time in days, people felt awe instead of fear. Children danced under the artificial sun, pointing at the stars now twinkling above. Humanity had faced the consequences of its ambition and taken the first steps toward balance, yet, even as the skies brightened, the stars' message lingered. Balance must be maintained. Respect the cosmos, or darkness will return.
Dr. Li knew this was only the beginning.
Humanity could not simply live in artificial light without consequence. The delicate harmony between artificial suns and real stars would require constant vigilance, care, and humility. As night returned to its rightful place in the sky, people realized something profound. The universe was larger than their ambitions. They had power, yes, but power carried responsibility. And the stars, ancient and enduring, were patient yet watchful. The world had survived the first recalibration. Humanity had glimpsed the vastness beyond its reach, and had begun to understand that some light, no matter how artificial, could never replace the stars themselves. The first recalibration was hailed as a triumph. Across the globe, real stars now twinkled faintly alongside artificial suns. Humanity celebrated cautiously, aware that balance had been restored, but only partially. Dr. Hana Li and her team were exhausted but vigilant. They had believed that recalibrating the suns would be enough. Yet, even as the world slept beneath the mixed glow of artificial and natural light, anomalies began to appear. In Moscow, citizens awoke to find shadows moving without a source.
Trees swayed in windless streets.
Birds flew in tight, frantic spirals before settling suddenly. Across Africa, deserts glimmered with unusual auroras, green and gold, painting the night sky in unnatural colors. Kira Thompson noticed irregular pulses in the star signals. They're different, she said to Marco over a secure video line. The stars are still communicating, but their patterns are distorted. Something is off.
Dr. Li frowned at her screens in Geneva.
The recalibration worked, she said. But perhaps we underestimated the complexity. The artificial suns didn't just block the stars, they altered the way energy flows across the universe.
Marco's voice trembled.
Are you saying we broke the cosmos? In a way, Li admitted. We've restored light, yes. But the balance is fragile. If we don't adjust continuously, we risk creating instability on a scale we cannot predict. The anomalies didn't go unnoticed. Governments and organizations began blaming each other for the strange occurrences. Protests erupted in some cities. Religious groups claimed humanity had defied the natural order and demanded the artificial suns be shut down immediately. Meanwhile, scientists warned that shutting down the suns too quickly could cause catastrophic blackouts and environmental collapse. Humanity was trapped in a delicate, high-stakes dilemma: preserve artificial light or protect the natural order. Kira Thompson and Dr. Li convened an emergency global conference. Representatives from every continent joined virtually, observing the strange auroras, irregular tides, and abnormal energy readings. Dr. Li addressed them firmly. We cannot ignore what we've done. The artificial suns have consequences beyond human comprehension. If we want the stars to remain visible, we must cooperate. We must create a system of continuous recalibration, and we must respect the limits of our own power. Late that night, as the team worked tirelessly, Kira's telescope picked up something extraordinary. The stars were sending a new pattern, more intricate than before.
It was a warning, but also guidance.
Learn the rhythm of the cosmos.
Align your light with ours.
Only then will balance endure. Fail, and darkness will consume all. The stars seemed alive, not just points of light, but a network of intelligence observing humanity's actions.
It was humbling.
The universe was vast, patient, and yet aware of every misstep. Dr. Li leaned back, exhausted.
This isn't just a project.
It's a covenant. Humanity has been given the power to create light, but also the responsibility to sustain harmony with the cosmos.
Marco shook his head.
I never thought controlling the sun could feel like negotiating with the universe itself.
The team realized that their work had only just begun.
The recalibration was a temporary victory, not a permanent solution. To maintain balance, they would have to monitor cosmic energy continuously, adjust the artificial suns in real time, and learn the subtle language of the stars. Above them, the sky glimmered with dual light, artificial suns glowing golden, and distant stars twinkling faintly through the haze. Humanity had survived the first trial, but the universe was reminding them, light could be given, but balance must always be earned. And somewhere, far beyond the planets, the stars waited, patient, intelligent, and vigilant, watching the children of Earth learn what it meant to hold the power of suns in their hands. Months passed since the first recalibration. Humanity had adapted to living beneath the combined glow of artificial suns and returning stars. Cities thrived with unending daylight, and yet nights regained a sense of wonder as stars twinkled faintly through the artificial haze.
But peace was fragile. Unstable skies. It began subtly.
In Singapore, the artificial sun flickered for a few seconds during midday. In Rio de Janeiro, the light shifted color, turning pale and blue, confusing residents and birds alike. Scientists initially dismissed it as minor instability, but soon similar patterns appeared globally. Dr. Hana Li monitored the network from Geneva.
Red warning lights flashed across the console.
The energy flows are unstable, she muttered. The recalibration worked, but we underestimated the resonance with the stars. The balance is deteriorating faster than we predicted. Kira Thompson, analyzing star patterns in New York, noticed something alarming. The stars' signals had become erratic, almost frantic. Pulses of light seemed to scream across the night sky, warning of imminent danger. Marco's voice trembled during a conference call. What if the artificial suns collapse?
Li's face grew pale.
If one fails catastrophically, it could send a chain reaction through the network.
Cities could be destroyed.
And worse, the stars themselves could fade permanently.
Global alarm. Panic spread as anomalies worsened.
Hurricanes struck with unprecedented intensity, seemingly fueled by irregular solar energy. Nighttime temperatures fluctuated wildly.
People feared the sun itself might betray them. World leaders called emergency summits.
Governments debated shutting down the artificial suns entirely, but the risks were immense. Shutting them off suddenly could cause environmental collapse and plunging temperatures across the globe. Dr. Li realized that humanity was caught in a dilemma. The artificial suns were both salvation and threat. They had been designed to protect the planet, but now they threatened its very survival.
A desperate plan.
The team proposed a bold solution. A simultaneous global synchronization of all artificial suns, using the stars' signals as a guiding pattern.
It was dangerous.
Any misalignment could destroy entire cities, or worse, permanently block the stars. Dr. Li addressed the world via a broadcast. We face a crisis unlike any in human history. The artificial suns are destabilizing, but there is hope. Using the stars' signals, we can recalibrate every sun simultaneously. It is risky, but it is the only way to restore harmony and prevent catastrophe.
People listened in awe and fear.
Across continents, engineers, scientists, and volunteers prepared for the most complex operation humanity had ever attempted. The synchronization begins. The countdown was broadcast worldwide. Every major city held its breath. In Geneva, Dr. Li's hands hovered over the console. Marco adjusted the resonance modulators, his fingers trembling. Kira observed star signals in New York, guiding the timing of each pulse. 3, 2, 1, initiate, Li commanded. Artificial suns everywhere pulsed with energy, aligning with the subtle patterns of distant stars. The glow intensified, blinding in some cities, yet delicate flickers of star light began to pierce the haze. At first, the network trembled violently. Energy surged unpredictably. Warnings blared. Some suns flickered dangerously, threatening collapse. Dr. Li yelled, "Hold the frequency. Adjust. Stabilize." Every second felt like an eternity. Across the world, humans stared upward, praying that this gamble would succeed. The universe responds. Then, slowly, a miracle occurred. The artificial suns and real stars began to harmonize. Light waves synchronized, creating a beautiful, almost musical resonance. Shadows shifted gracefully. Night skies revealed stars in full brilliance alongside the golden suns. People wept in awe. Children danced beneath the glowing skies. Humanity had not only survived, they had begun to learn the rhythm of the cosmos. Yet Dr. Li knew it was only temporary. The universe had given them a chance, but the message remained clear. Balance must be maintained, or all light could vanish forever. After the global synchronization, the world exhaled as one. Cities glowed under the artificial suns, but now the stars shone clearly through the night sky. Humanity had survived the greatest test it had ever faced, a test not just of technology, but of humility, patience, and respect for the cosmos. A new understanding. In Geneva, Dr. Hana Li stood on the balcony of the Central Solar Command, gazing at the blended light of suns and stars. Marco joined her, exhausted but smiling. "We did it," he said softly. Li shook her head. "We didn't do it alone. The stars guided us. They warned us. They taught us that power without understanding is dangerous." Kira Thompson, thousands of miles away in New York, recorded the night sky, her telescope capturing every twinkle. She smiled as the constellations returned, ancient and familiar, like old friends welcoming humanity back. The world had learned a vital lesson. Light could be created, but harmony with the universe required vigilance, wisdom, and respect. Life beneath two lights. People began to adjust to a new rhythm. Artificial suns were carefully monitored, their energy flows aligned with the natural cadence of the stars. Night and day took on new meaning, not merely cycles of light, but reminders of responsibility and cosmic balance. Children grew up learning the story of the day humanity nearly blinded itself, of the stars that had whispered warnings, and the scientists who listened. Schools taught the language of the universe, patterns of energy, the beauty of balance, and the delicate trust between human innovation and natural order. Communities celebrated the dual suns and restored stars, creating festivals of light. Music and art reflected the harmony between technology and nature. Humanity had not conquered the sky, they had become its careful stewards. A final message from the stars. One night, as the world slept beneath golden suns and twinkling stars, Kira observed a subtle flicker in the sky. A message, calm and eternal, passed through the starlight. "You have learned to walk in the light. Remember, all power is borrowed, all life is precious. Keep the balance, and the universe will continue to shine." Dr. Li read the message in Geneva, tears in her eyes. "We understand now," she whispered. "We are not rulers of the light, we are guardians." The skies shimmered in agreement. Humanity had risen to meet its challenge, not with arrogance, but with wisdom. The artificial suns continued to glow, a testament to human ingenuity, but always in harmony with the stars, the eternal, watchful guides of the universe. Epilogue. Years later, children played under the golden sun, pointing at constellations above. Scientists monitored energy flows carefully, ensuring that no misstep would disturb the balance again. Humanity thrived, aware of its place in a vast, intelligent cosmos. The day artificial suns rose and real stars went dark became a legend, a story of ambition, fear, redemption, and learning. A story that reminded humanity that light, whether natural or created, was precious. And that some truths, like the brilliance of the stars, could never be taken for granted. Above, the universe continued to shine, patiently, eternally, and wisely.